I don't know what you're eating. I don't know what you're drinking, but I want some of it.
I know what you've been eating.
And I know what you've been drinking.
What have I been?
Exactly. You better not start. Na 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 na.
Am I in trouble again? Talking about food, we have a young man who likes to feed people, put smiles on your faces. He's the one behind the Adeyemi Okupe Foundation. Yeah? This is the person we have in the show.
Good morning, good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm in such a good mood today.
So what is this thing about you liking to feed people?
Well, first things first, basic necessity of life, food, water, shelter. And the unfortunate thing about life is that we are in a position where not everyone can feed themselves. I wanted to come back home to Nigeria and work on a project. And luckily, I found Jyb Incorporated, and they were feeding 1,000 people. And you know, when I was there on Wednesday at Bariga, it was very humbling, because there's so many things in life that we all take advantage of. That people, when you see the faces of the people of the land, it was very disheartening. It made me realize that there's still so much world hunger out there. It also made me realize that the government is not doing anything about it. It was so crazy, because you would think that, okay, you know, this is just rice, beans, gari, but at the end of the day, this might be what they'll eat for Christmas Day. I mean, we tried our best to like keep tally of people who we've given to make sure that it goes around, but it got to a point where we just kept giving as much as we could. The people came 3-4 times, and I heard, you know, amongst the crowd, where mothers were telling their children, you know, this is what we're going to be eating for the next 3-4 days. So it definitely awoken me again to never waste food, because there's so much food out there. You know, restaurants will cook throughout the day. At the end of the night, dispose everything. Now I know, you know, we can't, because of certain laws, we can't give that food out, but it was definitely an experience.
How did this giving all start for you? I know you're based in America. How did it actually start?
The giving started right from when I was, you know, at a very, very young age. What happened was on Christmas like this, you know, as a kid running under the tree, only seeing gifts from my father and like my brother, but my sister and my mother, sister, like, where's where's my gift? So my mother sat me down one day and she told me, she said, Ade, Christmas is not for you. Christmas is when we are to give to others who do not have the opportunity and availability to be able to have. So that really, really, really stuck with me, because, you know, it was every year. So
at what age?
I would say as early as probably about 7-8 years old.
Wow.
Can you hear that?
And but I appreciate. I mean, at that moment, I was like,
it didn't make sense to you.
At that moment, I was upset. I was like, you don't love me,
deserve
like. So all my friends are gonna go to school and talk about gifts, but I can only talk about what my dad and brother got me. But when I look back at it today, it instilled the spirit of giving. It made me realize that, man, there's so much work that needs to be done on a larger scale, that we need to be able to give every opportunity that we have, and we have the means and the avenue to give, we have to give. That's our sole purpose. It doesn't even need to be a gift. It doesn't need to be monetary. You know, you can give somebody time, you can give somebody
Listening ear.
Exactly. You can give somebody some knowledge that would carry them for the rest of their life. Because at the end of the day, the clothes that all three of us are wearing, it can be stripped down from us. But at the end of the day, the one thing that never goes away is that knowledge that you gain.
So speaking of giving, it really sounds good. I mean, on the other side, people, oh yeah, it's easy. I can give. It's so easy to give, you know. But I'm really sure there are challenges attached to, you know, what you do.
The Adeyemi Okupe Foundation, definitely, I would say that one of the biggest challenges there are people that, oh yeah, it's that sound good factor.
How do you mean sound good factor?
Sound good factor, like, oh, you want to help educate, empower, elevate? Man, that sounds good. Like, I want to do something. I want to help you out. But when you reach out to people, you don't get any kind of feedback. Whether it's just that time, whether it's that knowledge, whether it's that connection that can help you out, you realize that, and one thing I had to realize is that my vision is not the same vision as other people. There were some hiccups along the way.
Okay.
These hiccups included the Obas or the chiefs or the leaders of the community saying, hey, you want to help our community? Okay, that's fine. Before you can help our community, you must give us something first. Give us some things first. They were asking for monetary donations to only them.
Wait. You volunteered with this non-profit organization to help a community, right? So on doing that, you met the leaders, and then they're asking you to grease your palms with certain things.
No, let us call it what it is. Bribe with a capital B.
Yes. So
this
pretty much
1-8 bribe.
Aren't you
the person who is the head of all the leaders said, okay, we need 20,000 naira each before any relief can be done
for their people.
For their people.
What is the difference in feeding people in foreign and feeding people at home?
So the one thing that I've realized in feeding people abroad is it's much easier. There are always people who would want to partner with you to feed as much as possible. People are more open-armed. They're more willing to accept the feeding. Versus my experience from Nigeria, you have to first grease the palms of the leaders before you can actually have a positive effect on the community, with the threats that if you do proceed, they will send area boys to scatter everywhere.
So, no, it's pathetic.
Come on. It's just pathetic.
It's very disheartening, because at the end of the day, what are we here for? Why are you a leader? Why are you a leader? And this is where it comes up on a larger scale. The training, the tools that you need for life, they start from home. They start from the community. It takes a village to raise the child. So if these villagers that are supposed to help us raise and groom us are teaching us at an early age that it is okay and is acceptable to collect some kind of bribe in order for us to help the community.
Obviously, John, we can't move forward like this.
I'm just really curious.
It's obvious we can't move forward like this.
I'm curious. How does it make you feel?
I was livid to the point of tears, because what you have done is you have blocked people's grace. You have blocked.
It's true.
One thing I've always done while growing up is to pray to God that, God, please bring my destiny helpers to me. And what those community leaders have done is to block those destiny helpers that were coming to give relief. Because you never know. There can be presidents coming out of that place. There can be governors. There can be lawyers, doctors, nurses. But you have put a roof over them and said, look, you guys are not going anywhere. I was beyond angry, but...
Okay, let us leave the shores of Nigeria and go straight to America, even though we're not paying tickets.
It's lesser challenges. I would say the only real challenge that I face is how you approach the people you want to service.
Okay.
That has only, for me personally, has always been the issue. Because, you know, as a human being, there's a level of pride that we all carry.
Okay.
So you have to really humble yourself. The problem is people, when they do these donation and relief efforts, they just give, carry, go. They don't actually take time out to sit with these people who are less privileged and actually interact and say, hey, what brought you to this place? And, you know, how can I help? So on the onset, I was blessed to be able to have a little bit of background knowledge of how to be able to interact with people who are less privileged. And, you know, it's just all your matter of approach that really determines the attitude and the atmosphere of the event. One thing we need to first of all realize is that giving food out is temporary. After you give the food, 30 seconds later, the person has forgotten you. What we need to do as Nigerians is focus on things that will be instilled in the heart. instead of give you, let me teach you how to cultivate the food so you can feed your family. So for all these celebrities that are out there thinking that they can, they'll pay bloggers 600,000 naira to only feed maybe 500 people and post it to make it public, you should honestly, you should be ashamed of yourself, because God has put you on a better pedestal, on a platform to be able to serve your people, and that is what you're supposed to do. Serve your people behind the cameras. You don't need cameras in order to serve people. You should be doing this out of your heart. That's where this service comes from your heart. You should be passionate about it. Whatever you're not passionate about, do not do. Whatever you're doing, you do it with grace. I firmly believe that whatever I lay my hands on, I'm going to do with all my heart, even to the point of death. That is what I believe in. You should be willing to die for what you believe in and what you want to work for in this lifetime.
Joan, we've seen a candidate,
Very well
a
said.
Nigerian
Next
candidate.
president.
Yes.
Serious.
I decree this.
Seriously.
Amen.
President Adeyemi Okupe.
Amen. Amen.
It's an honor to have met you.
Great to meet you too.
And when that time comes, you shall remember me.
Amen.
All right.